Okay. Let's minimize this a little bit. See what my throughput is on the other. Okay. Yeah, they're throttled. That's OBS must. Yeah, OBS must require a massive amount of firepower. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne Roznak with the Roznak Retreat and with Wayne Roznak, the channel. I was trying OBS. It's a powerful piece of software. It's the same thing as Restream. However, I think there is a bit rate problem. I think what's happening is the reason why Zoom works so much better is because they're throttling it and, well, not necessarily throttling. Let me rephrase that. They've got to be compressing the video and audio, which is great. But for OBS, it's like OBS is awfully powerful. However, I can't use it. I can use it for making a recording localized, which I guess would be all right. If I were, for example, if Melissa was basically sewing a quilt, she could actually use OBS to simultaneously record along the presser foot and the overall, a global view at the same time and record that, and then basically upload that as a completed compiled video. So let me minimize this because I don't think I need anything more than that. Or do I need to share my screen? Can I share my screen in picture in picture? It's been a while since I've worked with Zoom. Can I share my screen? Let's see here. Let me minimize. I don't want to minimize that. Yeah, why not? I can minimize that. I know what I'm doing here. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. I've only got one screen to share. Now I'm sharing my screen. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. Share the screen. Okay, cool. So I can see myself. All right, so let's go to. All right, so there's my screen. Here's a bit of a jet lag. Okay. I do want to go to I did want to launch OBS because I wanted to show some things with OBS. So we're going to go back into OBS. All right. Okay, so we're going to basically put OBS there so that I don't have an infinity look. And the only reason why I've got this going is because I wanted to see if there's anything coming in chat. Why can't I see what's going on in chat? Oh well. Am I in the right zone? Let's see if I can get it here. Schwartz now. You can tell I'm rusty as heck on this. Let me go to live. Make sure go on my channel. Free watching. Let me go to here. Is that my window? Okay. I think now I have test. Yes. All right. I'm now in my in my window here. And I'm showing what I'm looking at in my window. Okay. So I'm going to make this small. Crouch it down to size if I can. Why can't at the top of the chat? I just want to see the chat window basically. Why don't they just sit there? They make this user hateful sometimes. All right. All right, so I wanted to show a few things with open. Oops. Okay. So we've got our things here. All right, so my camera's working with Zoom. I'm not going to turn it on because I don't want infinity. What I was the other day, whatever I was mentioning about scenes and I believe it was profiles. Profile is where you save a setup. So in other words, if you have multiple scene areas, you want to save it as a setup. So basically, if you see here, it says Wayne Roznak profile. I can go new. This is for the quilt show, for example. I can say okay. Basically, ask you a few questions. So we go. We're just going to leave it as. I will always be. I will only be using the virtual camera, optimized just for recording. I will not be streaming. And then, of course, optimized for streaming. So, will that? Okay. A little jet lag because I'm doing a lot of stuff on this computer right now. All right, so I'm saying optimized for streaming and recording as secondary. That sets up your task within the computer, whatever, so that it tells the CPU what to do. It's the CPU, don't worry about it. It's the brain of the computer that basically runs things. So basically, you're basically giving it a priority for streaming instead of recording, though it will record. So I'm going to go next. Let's see here. Note the cannabis solution is not necessarily the same stream record, but your stream either 60 or 30, but prefer 60 when possible. Okay, that's fine. I think we can go here for that. We're going to apply settings for the defaults. All right. So basically now we have profile. This is for the quilt show. So now what we can do then is we can now take scenes. So do I have any quilt scenes? I don't have quilt scenes. So let's just mimic a few things, I guess. We're going to basically change a few things out. So yeah, let's see here. We're going to call this, we're going to go add an image. We're going to call this one. And then we're going to basically, it's a new one. So I'm going to say, okay, now it's going to do, it's going to open a window for me to choose what I want to show. So now I'm going to go browse. Now you would do this, again, you would do this before you go online, or you could do it dynamically. But if you want a smooth show or presentation, you would do it beforehand. And all you're doing is choosing a source, which is a resource as well. So we're going to basically look at pictures. Tag manager. All right, we're just going to pick anything. Okay, so we're going to, that's a watercolor, but I'm saying, okay. So now that is there. So what you do is like, okay, I've got that squared away. So that's ready for my show. And if you notice, it's taking, now you notice, this was what I was telling you the other day, whatever. If you notice, you can overlay in a specific spot. See there? There's a picture that goes in that spot there. There's another picture that goes in that spot? No. So we've got a picture there. And then what we can do then is we can actually take this picture. I'll show you what we can do with overlaying. Okay, so now watch this. Bam. See here? So we have a picture in the same spot, and then we can turn it off and turn another picture and turn another picture on in that very spot. On. That took a little while to show up. Off, on, off. And then we can overlay it, and we can actually overlay the pictures or whatever. And like I was mentioning earlier, this the quilt one, which is the cat picture here, is higher up on the source list, like that deck of cards, like that when you fan out those cards. So if I were to select number 2 and move it up, you see what happens? That image moves up. Now, if you have an image, I can basically rename this thing here down here. So we're going to go ahead and rename it. So we know exactly what it is. So if you forget to name one of your sources, you can rename one of your sources on the fly. And I don't know if you can see it on the screen here, but I just renamed that sailboat instead of text image, and that's quilt 1. Why isn't quilt 1 showing? Because it's not in the hierarchy, but if I turn off the sailboat, you can see that picture. You can do the same thing with cameras, like I mentioned in the earlier Sherlock So's testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hello. Yeah, I had to test the chat, make sure I can still read it. All righty. Again, I'm using Zoom instead of OBS because OBS seems to be taking up a whole lot of bandwidth and not playing nice with YouTube. So I figured I'd do a real quick tutorial on OBS showing how to use it. And it's like, duh, I can't even use it to stream. But if you got a real great connection with the internet, it's a pretty powerful tool. And as you can see here, we can queue things up, turn things off, run multiple cameras. Wonder if it'll show me the video capture. Let me show video capture. Video capture. Show me video capture. No, probably not, because Zoom is intercepting the camera. Oh well, such is life. All right. Doesn't want to share or play nice? No. All right. So I'm gonna turn that off. Whatever. I'm surprised I didn't get an error. I know one of our colleagues was getting an error using it, and I didn't get a report back that they were getting that error again. I'll find out more on that later. Let's see here. Okay, so scenes. So this is scene 1, and I think when I was mentioning earlier about scenes, let's go ahead and we're on scene 1. So let's go here. We can rename it on the fly. So we're going to call this boat view, and then we can go to scene 2. We can rename these scenes whatever we want. Boat view 2. And the unique thing about scenes is it saves placement of your sources. And if you notice here, it's different, same boats, different perspective, different sizes, right? This boat here on the lower right on boat view 2 is on the top left and enlarged, which again, as I mentioned in the previous tutorial, with the live video feeds, you can basically change this perspective so you can have it on your sewing presser foot and your and another camera, behind you or above your work area to show the entire area of where you're working. And then if you have a close-up, even if you have a third camera, so long as the computer recognizes it, you could basically configure it as a source and then cue that in. And basically, again, queuing them in is basically you know, push button on the screen. So it would probably behoove you to have a second screen while you're potentially have a second screen as you're working, or in the case where I've got here is, and of course I'm recording everything, that is having your one screen minimalized to your YouTube live chat, live screen off to the right, and then your main mixing and control screen to your left, and then do your work on if you're doing a sewing bee or a sewing demonstration, or oh Lord, demonstration for anything in that matter. You'd have it under control. And now this could also save you money with as opposed to a video switcher, unless you have a lot of cameras and your computer won't support it. Then of course you're going to need a video switcher. Melissa basically sent me a link, and I was bad. I have not looked at that link yet. For a switcher that someone was using. One of our colleagues was using a specific, Mom and Pop. Here we go. Mom and Pop was basically using a specific switcher. So I think I'll take a look at that today, in fact. But you instead of using a switcher, you can actually use, as long as you have the bandwidth, OBS to change out cameras, cameras. But if you need to use it on Zoom in this case, like I'm using, why am I yawning all of a sudden? Of course. But yeah, OBS is powerful, and of course, Restream is using OBS. OBS is open source, and what that means, it's kind of like anybody can use it. You don't have to pay to use it. But I'm thinking Restream is parlaying it with like Zoom, where you've got the components of OBS, and I think Restream may be controlling data compression, which may make it more suitable. For example, if I wanted to use it today or whatever, and I had a low bandwidth where Zoom is handling it nicely, Restream might be handling it nicely. I don't know. I'd have to tinker with that and play with it. But if you know OBS, then Restream should be second nature to you. However, Restream, you have to pay for Restream, from what I understand. But Restream is based off of OBS, because when I looked at it, it's like, wait a minute, I've seen this interface before, and it's OBS. So, yep. And that being said, I think I'm going to keep this short today. I thank anyone. Thank you, Sherlock Sews, for showing up, and my wife, Melissa, for showing up, because I think she's here. Yep. And I think I don't see anybody else out there. Is there anybody else out there? Not sure. Let me see the chat. There may be some lurkers out there. Anyway, thank you very much for showing up. If you have any questions on OBS that I can answer, again, leave it as a comment. I will see if I can do another video on it. I guess what we could do is, well, start streaming. Let's go. Click on this. I'm going to open settings real quick. Let me show a few things, whatever. When you're streaming on YouTube, you open up the Studio Manager, and you're not going to use it. You're going to use a piece of software. You'll have what they call keys and servers. So you open your settings up here, and then you go to stream. And if you look here, you've got a stream key, and you have a server. So basically, you indicate here which type of server you'll be using. In this case, you'd be using YouTube RTMPS. It's on the pull down in the stream settings. So you click on that. You'd then basically you'd right click that information, ingest server. Why is it changing up? I'm just going to go custom. You'd basically copy and paste the server, and then copy and paste the stream key. I don't want to show stream key. Don't ever One thing you don't do is you do not record while showing your stream key, because if you do, anybody can use that stream key and stream on your channel. There are ways to change it online or whatever. I'm not going to go into that right here, but again, you don't want to do this during a live session. So, and you hit your apply button. So you'd right click, paste your server, you'd right click, paste your stream, you'd apply as in between each one, and that's the way you'd get that going. And then you'd hit start streaming at the bottom. On the YouTube, it'll say, we're ready for your software, start streaming. Then you go back here, you'd start your stream, and then you'd start streaming with OBS on YouTube. I was streaming with it. However, I had a 30-second lag, not good. So again, if anybody needs any more information on how to use OBS, and again, it's applicable to Restream. So if you're having problems with Restream and it's OBS related or the interface related, I should be able to give you guys an answer. So, all right, take care, everyone. Have a fantastic Father's Day, and I'll catch you the next time around. Take care.